You know, I have a reputation of taking things apart, and I'm gonna do that again today. Hello and welcome to another Solana tutorial. Today we're gonna talk about Gill, which is a TypeScript library, which basically packages some of what we already know from the Web3.js and builds some stuff on top and adds more or less a wrapper around it that is more opinionated and easier to use, especially for beginner devs. I mean, I say that, I don't know, I haven't tried it yet. So the idea of Gill is that it's easier to work with by just providing some basic functionality of things that you need a lot, such that you don't need to dig deep into the Web3.js to get the functionality that you want. And in today's video, I want to give you an introduction of what Gill is, how you can use it, and then of course, just for Nick, I'm gonna take it apart and complain about it. No, give my feedback to it, just in case I find anything that I don't like, such that it can then be improved. Right, Nick? Look, I have a reputation. Yeah, we have a deal, Nick. You can then fix all of the things. So let's get started looking at Gill. Well, actually first, before we look at that, another word about the Web3.js. In my recent videos, I've been talking about the new Web3.js, which is the Web3.js in version 2. However, they have renamed this to the kit. This is now the Solana kit at Solana/kit, not at Solana Web3.js version 2. This is important information because from now on I'm gonna mention it as the Solana kit, but it is the new Web3.js. At some point we can't say new anymore because it will just be, you know, the Web3.js, but in version 2. And because there are so many breaking changes from version 1 to version 2, they kept the Solana Web3.js as the version 1 stuff, and they now rebranded the version 2 to Solana Kit, such that it's something different. It's a different package, and then there is no confusion, and it doesn't break all of the applications that require the Solana Web3.js in version 1. Okay, just so you know, when we're talking about the kit, it's the Web3.js in version 2. In the future, I will name it Kit, but all the previous videos I already made, it's called the new Web3.js or the version 2. Okay, just so we got that out of the way. With that settled, we can look at Gill. Gill, a JavaScript TypeScript client library for interacting with the Solana blockchain, which is basically the same thing that also the kit says. It's a JavaScript SDK for building Solana apps. Sounds similar, doesn't it? And it is, because underlying this thing basically has the kit, but Gill is more opinionated and makes it more easy to use. Which also has disadvantages. I say more easy to use, but what's the disadvantage? Well, you need to import more. It's gonna be bigger packages. The reason why the kit is so complicated to use is because of its layout and that it's so modular and that it allows for a lot of customization. But most people don't need that sort of customization, and having a kind of a more abstract, that's what 90% of people need, can actually be useful. And the 10% who need something else, they're gonna just use the kit. There's a comparison. Let's look at that. Should we get started with that comparison? Because I've never used it before, I could now dig into the source code. I could look at examples like those. And it's always good to start with something that we already know, like how we would do something in the Web3.js version 2, aka the kit. So yeah, let's do that. Let's get this repo. Or should we start with an overview? There are many examples, I like it. Oh, by the way, in case I didn't say that yet, I'm of course not gonna talk about every single feature that this library has. I'm gonna just give you an introduction and see what I like about it. Debug mode, that also sounds fun. It actually doesn't matter where we start, we just start somewhere. Let's get this. Okay, so basic. And for that not all to be read, npm add Gill or install. Let's see. I actually don't know why it's called Gill, but I googled the pronunciation and we're talking about the fish, so it's not chill, it's Gill. Why is it called Gill? Few reasons. It's short and brandable. It was available on the npm registry. That's a good point. That's why we can do this. You know, it's available. It's ocean themed, like most tooling in the ecosystem. I didn't know that. Although seahorse, yeah. Yeah, okay, makes sense. And he likes the fish icon. Okay, so there is no, it seems to be an arbitrary choice. I don't think there's a direct link between Gill and this library. Okay, with that out of the way and with Gill installed, let's check out the comparison between a regular Solana Web3.js, with all the imports that I'm not gonna import now because I wanna just have Gill. So that's red, but that's okay. We don't wanna work with this. But we have already worked with this. This is how we used to do it when we used the kit, right? You create a Solana RPC, for instance, from DevNet, then you need to do the same thing with the subscriptions. And then you get a factory for the send and confirm, such that you can then later use the send and confirm. And this thing also always a bit annoying that we always have to, do this entire thing with a create key pair from bytes and then make a byte array from a JSON string that we parse from a file that we read. This, since we're doing it so many times, could be a nice function that I think that Gill has. And then also this might be a bit confusing, how transactions are actually built, what type of transaction, setting the fee pair like this, setting the block hash like this, and then adding the instructions like this. Is a bit of a confusing way to write it, maybe. It is more intuitive to do it like we have in Rust, where it's one constructor kind of almost. And then, then we sign and then we send and confirm. So it's not a big example, this one. It's literally just sending a memo. That's how it's done with a kit. Let's compare how it's done with Gill. So there is a create Solana client in Gill. And that thing takes an object which has the URL or moniker. And moniker is that how you pronounce it? Moniker? Moniker? Moniker. How do you pronounce that? Monica. Like this, DevNet is not a URL, but it says, please use the default DevNet RPC URL. And then from that, we also get the send and confirm transaction directly and the RPC. So usually we would have to get that from a factory, but I'm pretty sure that that's wrapped in here or not. We don't have that here, but hold on. That's why we have the source code. Where is the actual source code of this? It's core. There you go. Even easy to find. Basically what it does the create Solana RPC from the Web3.js. This one. If it's HTTPS, then we also use secure WebSockets. Otherwise, we just use WebSockets. Bit of a weird way to implement this, but it will work. We did already check for HTTPS or not. So it's safe. And then we create the RPC subscriptions with the URL, which we defined as a URL. And we changed the protocol to WebSockets. And I don't want to analyze like everything like this, but I just want to check if it's actually doing the things that I expect it to do, which, since we do want to critique it potentially. And yes, it is doing the create Solana RPC and then create Solana RPC subscriptions. And both of those, it will put into a send and confirm transaction factory, and this it will then also return to us. Okay, so it returns all three things, and if we don't need one of them, see my TypeScript tutorial for how that works. We just need this and this, but it's important that we call it like that. We're deconstructing an object, so we need to call it exactly like that, because we also get the subscriptions, and those are the three things that are in this object, and then we can just say, okay, I take the same name for this and this, and I'll use it later. Make myself a constant variable for it. It's called a constant. Variable for me is still the word for I can use it later, but it's actually a constant, if we're really strict about it. Anyhow, then the latest block hash is actually not different than in our comparison. I think this is the exact same. That's what we're used to from the kit. And then this looks so much nicer. It's just literally a load key pair signer from file. And this stuff is not in Gill directly, but it is in Gill/node. Why is it in /node? Well, because we don't have that functionality in the browser, like on web, because we don't have file system access. Only if we're running a local script like this, we can use the node stuff, which has a load key pair signer from file, which per default will take the key pair that I have in my Solana config. Let's create myself a key. I want a Gill. This is how you need to spell it. So that's my key pair. So I could say Solana config set the key to this one. So it will take this config file if I don't specify anything else. I can, however, in here probably specify something. Yeah, I could specify a file path, but the default is the default CLI key pair path, which is the config Solana ID chase. Actually, not even what's written in there. Hold on. Ah, okay. Sorry, I got that wrong. It doesn't read from the config, which is what I thought at first. It will just use the default, like when we say Solana keychain new, then it would write to this default path. That's what it would take. What do I have there? I don't remember this address. But yeah, that's the one that it would take. So I could, of course, copy my key there without making a backup first. Oops. And now it will take that key as well, if I say nothing. So I airdrop myself some... I gotta go via the faucet. I am human. There we go, we have one sol. So that's the load key pair. And then I can create a transaction with a create transaction from Gill. And like this, it's much easier to say version fee pair instructions. It's, you know, it's easier to read. You can also put in the compute units and compute price like this, and it will add those as instructions, that it's not, you know, that you don't need to do it here. This doesn't read so nice, you know? It's like, if you look at that, it's like a lot of text. And here's like, oh, okay, we're building a transaction. It's a legacy transaction. This guy is the fee payer. This is the latest block hash. We even use compute program instructions. So for most cases, this is just more convenient. And also we can build the instructions first, just as an array of instructions. I'm now curious if it puts those two instructions at the beginning or the end of the transaction. Really, it doesn't matter. It's not like they're doing anything, but also for aesthetics, it matters to me. It matters to me because I want to know which one is my instruction. If it says instruction index 2 failed, well, is that my first instruction or my third? You know, are the compute budget before or not, you know? And to answer my own question, it is done before. So it's the compute unit, it's first the limit, then the price, and then the remaining instructions that I put in. And then signing the transaction, I think, is also the same, except this also comes from Gill. Yeah. Does that do anything special? Hold on. Sign transaction message with signers. It's the same name. I don't think it does anything special. But where's that? Probably it doesn't change anything and it just maps it through. That probably comes directly from the kit and it's re-exported in Gill, because it doesn't do anything different. It's the same name, it signs the transaction. Ah, there we go. Yeah, we export a lot of things. Basically everything that the kit offers. Don't worry that it's right, I just haven't installed that because I want it from Gill. And Gill has the dependency for that stuff. This is just directly exported. Cool. Also everything from the kit. The Node stuff has a special export for the Node.js specific export. We don't do that here. Okay. Good. So in any case, back to here, back to our example, we did the sign, then get signature from transaction, which is also something that we know from the kit. That's nothing new. And then we send and confirm transaction. That thing is also nothing new, but it's new how we get it. We don't need to get it from the factory because it's directly exported through this create Solana client, which internally does the factory, but yeah, it's easier for us to use. And we can just use that and we're done. Not a huge difference between those, you know? It does have a function to get the Explorer link, such that we don't need to do this manually like this. So that's another feature. Okay, should we try to get this basic stuff to work? Let's see if, I mean, the source code looks nice, right? It's especially that part is just easier to read for me. And I love this. Let's see if I can just run this as well. So we go to in Gill, my examples, get started. Can I run the basic? Let's see. Out of the box. It will just work. And if we're going there, we see it did use priority fees. The compute budget program instructions are first. And then we have the memo with GM World. GM World. Gill is working. Easy. Done. Video complete. No, we haven't done anything really except looking at one example. Now comes the fun part where we actually play with it ourselves. Because everybody can, read source code and pretend they programmed something. It's like letting ChatGPT write your program. It's not the same. It doesn't aid your understanding of it. And we want to understand Gill, so bye-bye example. Or maybe look at other examples. Okay, here the docs are definitely wrong. Hey, Nick, I found something. This is not a load keeper from local file system. This is creating a new address from this. Probably a copy-paste error. And of course I could do a pull request, but also I'm a lazy bastard who is too busy making videos and complaining that the docs are not right. See, that's a moniker. One of those four. Do you think I can get another airdrop? I don't think so. First of all, if we get an airdrop, then to here. And secondly, I think I'm rate limited. Yeah, there we go. Too many requests even. Oh, that's the error that I get for, if I can't airdrop. Because even one request is one too many. Okay, so we also tried that. Great. But yeah, that's nothing. This is nothing new. This is directly from the kit. The address and Lamberts and all that stuff, that's just directly from the kit. Airdrop factory, so apparently that creates a transaction and already sends it. Is it from Gill though? Because that might just also be, it looks more like being directly from the kit because it's called factory. Precise naming, but long names. But it's weird that the airdrop factory would send it directly. We are in Gill Solana Web 3. Also, don't do airdrops in your node script because you're rate limited anyway, probably. Oh, that's nice. Maybe we should go through the intro. I mean, we kind of already saw most of that. There is a load keeper signer from file, and here the docs are correct. He probably started from this and copied it for the airdrop example and then forgot to remove that comment. We declare the cluster. There's a moniker. Then we create the Solana client. We also saw that already. Get an add memo instruction. This looks very kit-like. Also, this is nothing new. And this is then something new again with how to create the transaction. Get the signature is also nothing new. Just getting the Explorer link. Yeah, so basically the intro is literally the same as what we already had a look at in the comparison. Okay, should we have a look at tokens? Oh, should we have a look at debug mode? With debug mode enabled and the log level of debug, the send and confirm transaction will auto log the Explorer link and the serialized base64 transaction. Oh, that is very helpful because I often just want that to inspect it in the inspector. Yeah, nice. That's helpful. It could be a bit too much. I might not want that for everything. That's how we turn it on, by setting the global Gill debug to true, the debug level to debug. Should we go through this token example? I mean, it looks somewhat interesting, and tokens are something that you might have used before. I mean, literally my first video was on how to create a token. Welcome back to the topic of Solandy's first video, how to create a Solana token. This time with Gill. We've come a long way since my first attempt with Solana CLI. But there's a lot of red in this example. It starts here with the global. Then also it doesn't like the types here. Not sure why. What happens if we just run this? It probably fails. No, it does not. Yes, it does. But not as early as I thought that it would. And here we can already see the logs from Gill. We're sending this transaction, and that's the transaction as base64. That's so nice because this stuff I can put in the inspector of the Explorer here, and then I see exactly what's in the transaction, and I could even simulate from here. Oh, we're failing because this account doesn't exist, because we're on mainnet. And if I were on devnet, and I were to simulate here, then it would fail on with invalid account data for instruction. But also I didn't adjust the addresses in here. So let's go through the example. Why not? Seems like the types are correct. Just again, my TypeScript doesn't understand it. Probably because I don't have some stuff imported correctly. Complaints about the token program, which comes from here, which comes from Gill programs token. Do I need to? I don't think I need to get that explicitly. I think if I imported Gill, it should have all of that stuff. Programs, token, yeah, that should be here. But then why do you still complain about the type? I don't know. It's not assignable to address or undefined. Address of token Z is not assignable to address. Types of property brand are incompatible. Two different types with this name exist, but they are unrelated. So, I mean, it is working because if you run it as JavaScript, those types are ignored anyway, so it will just run. But here, if we're very strict with TypeScript, maybe because we re-export that or something, we get that issue here. I don't know why I get that. The brand, it doesn't like the brand. So essentially my problem is that this thing I can't use as an address. Hold on, where does this address live? Let's try another thing. Let's npm I the Solana kit. And do an example like this. From the Solana kit, we import, oh yeah, of course that's not in the Solana kit, that's in Solana program token. Actually even in token 22, or where exactly is that export? Token minus 2022, that minus 2022. That one, we should then be able to import token 2022 program address. And can I here now say I want to have this as an address from the Solana kit? This works. So here it doesn't see the problem. Here that's all fine. However, when we do the same thing here in Gill, using the exports from here, suddenly it doesn't like it anymore. And maybe that's just because I don't have the right dependencies here. So let me just try if it would help if I npm I this manually additionally. Then I get issues with dependencies. Great, so that's exactly the reason why I didn't want to do that, because I think that it's already imported anyway. I think that didn't really help. What if I don't import that from here? What if I get the address from the kit? What if I get that thing from here? Then it works. Okay. So the issue is the export of the token 2022 program address from the Gill programs token. This is not an introduction at all anymore, is it? Programs token addresses. Because you're using constants here. But this one, you actually do import it from the same. Yeah, this one, you actually do export it from here. It might just be my TypeScript that doesn't really like that. Because, I mean, it does work. It's just red. If I import that from here instead of from here, then suddenly this doesn't work anymore. And I could make it work by telling you, hey, I know what I'm doing. This is unknown. And this will fix the type, but it's ugly as F. And I wish I wouldn't have to do that, but I don't know why I have to do that in the first place. It's the same export. Nick, if you want to look into that, feel free, but you know, I will probably manage to get around this without having this be fixed, but I don't know if anybody else has this issue. And I certainly don't want to have to add the kit myself. I want to just use the address from here, and I can. The address export works, just the token program address for some reason has something weird with the type. And then I force it into this type and then it will be fine. But if I don't force this, then I get follow-up errors here and people will be like, well, what's the issue here? And then what's the issue here? Well, it's the same thing. But then what's the issue here? And what's the issue here? And what's the issue here? It's always the same thing. It's always the token program brand being incompatible. Don't ask me why. Somewhere along the way that brand is lost. But I don't know TypeScript well enough to really... I'm just gonna do this quick fix and bam, it will work. I mean, it works already without this, but now it's not red anymore. Okay, anyway, back to the token example. This is taking me a while. We generate a key pair signer. This is nothing new. We know this from the kit. But this is new. A build create token transaction. This is from Gill, because that is a more complex thing and it does a bunch of stuff. What does it actually do? We'll create a new token even with the... So basically, this will create as a transaction. Is it already signed? No, it's not signed. It's just creating that transaction message, I guess. Which, I don't know if I like that, to be honest. What's your return type? Promise for a full transaction. Oh, it is a full transaction. Full transaction with a version and a transaction message with fee payer and a block hash. It does return a full transaction. It's not just a message. It's not just a message. Okay, good. But it's not a signed transaction. It's just a full transaction, but not signed. Okay, but what is the full transaction? The full transaction is the complete transaction message. So we're not just creating instructions, we are creating the entire transaction message. Yeah, I guess that's the name, full transaction in the kit. Basically just the message. And then the signatures. No, the message should already contain which signatures we need. Yeah, anyway, but then we still need to sign it. And that's done outside of here makes sense because maybe we have several signers. Maybe we want to use a signer from like a browser extension or something. So doing that in 2 steps is actually okay. I like it, yeah. And then the send is another step. Okay, cool. And what we see here, this entire build create token transaction also does metadata stuff. So that's like Metaplex metadata. Only possible with Gill. Obj. Let's create an obj token. Not gonna change that because I'm too lazy to. And this thing also has reasonable defaults. Like if I don't provide the mint authority, then it will take the same as the fee payer. It will not set it to no mint authority. That's another thing. That would be an additional instruction that we could theoretically add to here. But if we wanted to build it that granularly ourselves, then we probably want to create all of the instructions manually as well. Because this is a collection of instructions that it will put. And I don't know what the collection actually is, but let's look at it in a second. We can specify the decimals, the token program, and it would even take the compute unit and price that it then directly gives to the create transaction, because this thing probably does a create transaction. Do we want to look at the source code? Gill source, you probably have some token stuff. Token transactions, probably in here. Build create token transaction, there it is. What does it do? Some checks. Creating a token's mint is around 3k CU with the current implementation of token cake. The rest is token metadata and fluctuates a lot. So he uses a reasonable high default compute unit limit and a default price of 10k. Wait, no, that's not the price. Oh, hold on. If we have token 2022, then we use metadata through token 2022 as well, not through Metaplex. Interesting, I like that. Because Metaplex is a protocol that I don't have any specific opinions about. No, you know my opinion about the token metadata program. It's just a huge thing that is, in my opinion, unnecessarily expensive. Both in terms of compute usage and Solana fee. It's all just a mess. The whole token metadata stuff is just a mess. But I have an even worse opinion about Solana name services. Could have been so good. Anyway, so then we do, as I said it does a create transaction with the following instructions. So there we go. Get create token instructions. Cool. What does that do though? If we have the token 2022 program, token extensions, then we use the metadata pointer and metadata token metadata extension and return the create the account, initialize metadata pointer, initialize mint, initialize token metadata instruction. And if it's not token 2022, then we also create the account for the token mint, we initialize the mint, and we create metadata account v3 instruction, and that thing is a token metadata stuff. Yeah, the Metaplex, which I don't want to go into detail here, just where it's imported from, token metadata. And what I actually like about this, that Gill has its own implementation, it seems like, for the whole token metadata stuff, and it doesn't rely on any of the Metaplex repositories At least I don't see it here. This code was auto-generated. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that they just have the create metadata and don't import anything else. That's cool. Okay. And we also only need that if we use the regular token program. If we use token 2022, like we do here, then it uses the native. And that's actually nice. See, that's opinionated. It decides for you which type of metadata it will use. Two completely different programs, the token metadata program and token 2022, both support token metadata. And depending on which program you use to create the token, it will use the appropriate way to create the metadata for that token. And that makes sense. Then you don't even need to know that stuff. You don't even need to know whether or not you should use token metadata, the Metaplex program, or something else. Because this build create token transaction will decide for you. That's what it means to be opinionated. The Solana kit is not opinionated. You have to specify everything yourself. And here, this library makes decisions for you. It has opinions. What's the best way? It has opinions what explorer to use, for instance. My favorite, explorer.solana.com. Yeah, because for devs, that's for me, still the nicest. Anyway, so this thing will create me a full transaction to create a token. Let's try it out. I have my node script. Hold on. Types for node. Let's go. There we go. Oh, if I add that node types, then it also has the global stuff. Okay, that's also in types for node. Cool, now I don't have anything read in that script at all anymore. Okay, so let's try this out. If we can build a create token transaction by running this example, and it logged the entire transaction. And because we have the debug logging on as well, we get those things and we can have a look at that. Inspector, that's the transaction that it built. It has two signatures, one for the token mint. So apparently the 3xh is going to be my token mint. Hold on. Bullshit, that's the signature. The AAV is going to be my token mint. AV Nick, GG, yo. It's a good framework. That's my token that I just created. And bam, that will already exist. It's the OPOS token. So this thing is taken from the external metadata, so the URL. But here we see this is only possible with Gill. I mean, it's a kind of a lie because it's also possible with, you know, the Solana kit or your own transaction builder or whatever you want to use this. But it's made easy with, you should, you know, let's not lie. Say made easy with Gill. MIVJ. The acronym really does not get any better. So it's made easy to create the token. It's made easy to mint tokens. Hold on. This is my address, who is also, you know, the mint authority. Did put the mint authority also as a metadata pointer authority. It set me and the update authority for the metadata pointer and actual metadata. Have a look at the token extensions metadata stuff. I made a video about that if you want to know more about that. So that's that. And then we can also, you know, mint ourselves 42. Same easy stuff. It's just one function call that gets us a full transaction that contains all the instructions that we need for minting tokens. Made super easy for us. Just add fee payer, mint, we want to mint destination, which I specify as my address. And that's not even the ATA. That's the actual wallet address. And it will create the ATA for us. Because usually when we build the instructions, we need to first find with that weird name, right? What is it? No, here it is a get associated token address. We can't specify the ATA though. If we want to say mint to this ATA, then we can say that as well. But otherwise it will derive the ATA. It's pretty cool. I like it. The same token program, and then we mint tokens. And then it's also made easy for us to transfer tokens. I'm going to put my wallet here again. Then I can do a build transfer tokens transaction. Again, nothing new. We just want to say how many tokens we want to transfer. Let's say we transfer 2 tokens. And like that should all work. Now, let's run this, and we probably get a lot of spam because we have debug on, but I kind of like this. I kind of like that it's printing the base64 transaction. But yeah, I have double the info now because it's logging it here, and then I also logged it in my script. my script that somebody else wrote. But anyway, we see that we have minted 42 tokens, and then I transferred to, I don't even know where I transferred to. Where did I specify that? Oh, I generated a new key pair for the receiver. I see. And then I have 40 left. Nice. Let's check the transfer on Explorer. Air, oh, that's a nice signature. Air 1. And I did a transfer instruction with token 2022. Yeah, cool. So all of that works. It's pretty simple to build those simple transactions that you use a lot. You know, like transferring tokens, you use a lot, and having such a nice, oh, I can just put it all in here. You know, even if I remove all of that, I can be like, well, what does it need? Ah, okay. A fee payer. I have a payer for this. What did I call it? See if it's not my script. I don't know what I'm doing. Signer. I called it signer. I called my payer the signer. I load the key pair signer. I have a signer for this. What else do you need? The amount. Oh yeah, let's transfer 1 token, and I know I have 2 decimals, so there you go. What else? The destination would be good. Okay, that's my receiver. I call it transfer to destination. I would call this, if it was my script, receiver. The authority is needed. This is not optional, so I'm gonna say I know that my signer has tokens, so there you go. And the mint, well, I called it mint, so that's all I need. That's how quickly you can build yourself a transfer tokens transaction with transaction fee payer and everything. You can optionally add more stuff, you know, specify a specific ATA, a specific token program, etc., specify the compute units, but it already sets the limit pretty nice. I wouldn't specify the limit. I could specify a higher price if I wanted more priority. I don't even need to worry about block hash. If I don't provide one, it will get one. Pretty simple. But let's do it again like this. This one will not work with because I use the default token program, which is token keg. So I would also up here need to say, hey, actually, instead of the token program, instead of token extensions, let's use the token program address. Let's see if it complains here. Aha, it complains again. Why? So this is probably because we're now using the token program. Let's see. Hey, hold on. Could it be that... Oh, wait, I think... Hold on. Wait. Could it be that some things it takes from the source directly here and some things from the exported NPN package? Could that be the reason why it's messing with me type-wise here? I don't think it's that error. The previous error, the one with the can't cast to address, brand being different, that might be. But here, I don't know what the error is here. Let's have a look at the... create transaction, but you do have a version. You have a version legacy, either you specify or legacy. Aha. This has a read-only lifetime constraint, but this thing doesn't have a lifetime constraint. But it seemed to have had one before. Wait, was it because I changed the token program? What if I kept you at token 2022? Then you again complain about the brand. Unknown as address. Then you also complain. But what did I have earlier that you did not complain about that? The block hash. Okay, so I do need to specify the block hash. This does not have anything to do with the token program. I do need to specify the block hash such that it has a lifetime constraint, that it knows if it's a durable nonce transaction or a block hash transaction. And then that works again. Aha, okay, so it doesn't take the block hash. Let's see. If I do this, I don't have a block hash. In the create transaction, the block hash here also optional? Yep. And if we have a block hash, then we set the transaction message lifetime using block hash. Okay, so that is still a bit weird. I mean, on the other hand, no, it's not. You just gotta add that block hash because it allows you to still change stuff. Would it force you to use a block hash just to guarantee that that thing works afterwards? Would it force you to use a block hash? You couldn't then later on change to a durable nonce strategy. But if you don't do a block hash, then we're not ready for signing yet because we don't have a block hash or a durable nonce. So, I mean, since we are opinionated, yeah, but I don't have the RPC in here. I see why you do it like that. I can totally understand why you do it like that. I see why it is like this. If you don't provide a block hash, then it just doesn't put the block hash into the message, but then the message is not being ready for being signed. However, for a beginner dev, this could be very confusing, because usually when I see I don't need to provide the block hash, I would assume that, it takes a recent block hash. However, in this case, it can't, because this build transfer tokens transaction doesn't have access to an RPC and can't just, request a block hash, which is what I kind of would expect if I don't provide one, right? So I don't know what the best solution about this is. I'm just saying this is a reason for confusion, because I was confused. I was like, I don't need a block hash, but then I do. I definitely don't want you to force in the block hash, because I still want to be able to, change the strategy to a durable nonce and still have that nice function that does the rest. Especially, I mean, with a transfer, it's not that important, but with a minting also not. But with the creating the token, there it is a bit more, because that does more with the metadata and stuff. Here, if I wouldn't provide the block hash, then this thing will not be happy, but I could still either manually add one, because I have this function. Just need to import it from Gill, because Gill exports everything from the Solana kit. And here I could then provide my latest, block hash and my create token transaction. That thing I could then put in here. So I can do it. I just need to then later manually add it. But if I don't want to do that, let's go back and don't do that. I can, of course, add it in here, my latest block hash. And for some reason, I would find it really neat if that thing would just put in the block hash itself, or have a more clear message what happens if I don't provide the block hash, if that's undefined. On the other hand, people are gonna figure it out. It's just not gonna work, and they're gonna be confused. And then they figure out that they need to add the latest block hash. It will be fine. They will just be like, but why is it optional then? Or is that just me? Maybe that's just me as well. Who knows? Anyway, that's one thing that I realized now, just playing around with it a little bit. But yeah, overall, I actually really like this. Also, that we can turn on and off the debugging. Let's set that to false, such that we don't get so much blah blah anymore. And then see if we can use it with token keg. The same thing, but this time with token keg. Did I not save it? Still getting those debug messages. And this time I only transferred one token. We did do the transfer, and this token, by the way, the MEVG token, made easy with Gill. Funnily enough, the Explorer doesn't take the metadata from the external one, from Metaplex. I mean, yeah, wait, hold on. Yes, it does, but it takes the one that is on chain and not the external ones, not this link. But yeah, this has now Metaplex metadata. It has a completely different form of metadata, although we use the exact same function. Fun. And that also works just fine with the token program. But I'm still confused why it logs. I thought it only does that if I have debug to true. Let's see, what if I don't have this? If I don't define the log level, then it won't, okay. But as soon as I have the log level, even if Gill debug is set to false, then it has that. Or maybe, so it seems to completely ignore this thing. But the docs say if debug mode is enabled and the log level of debug, where would that logging happen? Debug can be a log level, a boolean, or undefined. Probably it overwrites that though. If we have a debug level or global debug level, that's what we set. So as soon as that is set, as soon as we have a level, we are debug enabled. Or if the Gill debug is true or 1, and we have that prefix, and we check if we have debug enabled and if our log level is appropriate for the level that is set. Otherwise we return. Yeah, but this is debug enabled, basically just checks if any of that is set, if the debug level or the debug is set. So it's not an and, it's an or. So what happens if I just do this? Okay, then it does do the logging, but it has a different log level. This seems to be log level info and not debug. And at info, it prints the send transaction, and at debug it also prints the actual transaction in base 64. Cool. But as soon as we have some debug level set, we don't need to explicitly also set that, at least as long as this function doesn't change. Yeah, okay, so it's details, it's tiny little details, but yeah, when debug mode is enabled, it might be confusing because this, just having this already enables the debug mode. Cool. Now we also looked at this. Is there anything more in Gill that I really should have a look at that I didn't look at yet? Generating key pairs, we did that. Generating extractable key pairs and signers. They're less secure, right? Because we get access to the private key. If we want to save the key to a file, for instance, then we need that. If your transaction does not have the latest block hash lifetime set, we create transactions. You must set the latest block hash lifetime before or during the signing operation. Yeah, it says it here. It says it in the docs here. So, I mean, that should be then obvious enough. I just didn't read the docs. Sending and confirming transactions, Explorer link, loading and saving key pairs, transaction builders like for token and metadata, which we already saw, minting, transferring, and the debug mode. We can also do custom debugging like this, but just calling this function that we have in the debug. That's also exported in Gill, so we could also get access to this stuff. Yeah, if you want to easily interact with any custom program with this library, you can use Kodama to generate compilable clients using IDL. Oh, that is nice. That is the thing that will allow us to auto-generate the codecs for programs. But that might be the topic for a future video. Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm happy. We had a good look at Gill. Fishy, 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 fishy. I wouldn't say we grilled it, more like put it over warm coals or something. Not enough to really grill it. We just looked at it with an intense stare, but it didn't, it's not, Andy, stop the weird analogy here. Conclusion, yes, it is easier to use than the Solana kit, and it gives you everything that the Solana kit has as well. And maybe Gill is an easier name to type and remember than @solana/kit. So you might want to just always use that. Unless you want to be, you know, space efficient and not include more stuff than you absolutely need to, because then you really want to use the kit itself, because that stuff is fully tree shakeable and, you know, optimized for those kind of use cases. Gill is more like, yeah, you want to write some Solana scripts or stuff and you just want an easy way to get started, then Gill is certainly a nice thing for you because it exports those functions that let you easily do things and it's not as confusing. However, overall, for me as a dev who has some experience with the Solana kit, I'm like, do I really need this? Does this really help me? I mean, yes, that one function to load the key pair is really nice. But it also basically just does one thing that I just always copy. And do we really need to import an entire library just for that? I don't think so. So probably in the future I will stay with the pure Solana kit. But I can see how for many people, especially people who are just getting started, this could be the easier approach to do so. And that's my conclusion. Sorry, Nick, that I didn't find any bigger issues with it. Maybe in future videos I will do more of a deep dive, you know, try building more stuff with it. For the scope that I had a look at today, there were a few things that were confusing. There were a few errors in the docs, but those are easily fixed. Unfortunately, I don't have much for you to really fix, but I hope that this was still somewhat helpful, and also for everybody watching who's just starting their Solana journey or is at the process of doing so. This also wasn't a super basic video, let's be honest. I kind of worked with the assumption that you know the Solana kit. So maybe I should do a video purely on, hey, if you're getting started, use this. But this was a somewhat a video in the middle, not too deep, not for beginners, not for the pros. It's for you. Unless you're a beginner or a pro. Then why did you watch this? He says in the end of the video. But hey, it seemed to have added something to your life. Otherwise you wouldn't have watched it, right? Because you can make your own decisions and decide what videos you watch. I just suggest that you watch some. like this one and this one. And then I also suggest that you like this video and subscribe and maybe even hit that bell to be notified whenever I post a new video, which I do sometimes. And often it is very useful for Solana devs. So if you are one, you might consider that. That's everything for today. I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye. And chill with Gill.